Meteora, a unique place of power, and few know what it hides. The first time I saw pictures of this area, I thought it was some planet outside of our world. This is an area of Greece, north of Athens, about 4 or 5 hours drive in the mountains. And there are also monasteries built on top of these rocks jutting out of the plain. And these monasteries were built for seclusion, obviously, with a very dangerous way of constructing them. And then the magnificent rock forest in the heart of the Balkans. This is in Greece, obviously. It attracts the attention of every visitor. People also, tourists go there for mountain climbing, and they also go for hang gliding as well. Now, the paradoxical and unique formations seem to have been carved by human hands, and yet their layouts and position are a natural geological development. Their natural location is a unique place of power that in recent decades opens gates and begins to operate again as normal stimulation of specific emissions and vibrations is achieved that accidentally contribute to the cleanliness and activation of our place. And now this unknown area of Meteora at the foot of Kamvouni Mountains in the town of Kalambaka, at the exit of the river Pineos in Thessaly of Greece, there's a group of rocks extremely steep with paradoxical shapes with an average height of about 900 feet from the plain, a valley, and they jut out from the valley. These rocks occupy an area of 3 kilometers from south to north and 2 kilometers from west to east. Searching the encyclopedias and dictionaries in ancient books and traditions, we do not find Meteora as a name anywhere, so it's very reasonable to assume that they once had a different name in antiquity or many other names that changed over time. The surprise, though, remains as neither the strange and paradoxical formation of the rocks in which the visitor remains ecstatic, the ancient writers and historians do not mention. Not even from Strabo, although it's mentioned in the area of Aegini, the ancient city that is said to be today's Kalambaka, just below these mountains. That's where the hotels are. I have gone to this place twice. Once I stayed there for 5 days. We were on a pilgrimage to visit the various monasteries there. And people from all over the world came with us. Now, even from all the way down from Australia. Now, neither Pausanias nor Herodotus, who all seem to have traveled to the area, mention these. The descriptions of Titus Livius, who refers to the wars between the Romans and the Macedonians, who also mentions Aegion as a safe and invincible place, are not satisfactory either due to the fortified location where it was built. Meteora, as a name and area, became known around the 10th century after pious monks built monasteries there called Meteora. The monasteries that rise above the earth and hang from the air, that is, they are meteors, as if they were meteors. Meteora is not even mentioned in the Suda dictionary of the 10th century AD, but we do not find anything relevant about Aegina. But before, why aren't they mentioned from beforehand? What happened? Did they suddenly sprout? Did the aliens place them there? What is the we are probably overdoing this, but the only logical conclusion that emerges for the place is that there is a hidden information or that the place was kept in obscurity because the rocks may have hidden a secret that was only for initiates. In search of this secret, we'll start from a mythology along with modern geological science. How they were formed. The natural geography of Thessaly has a lot to tell us if we have the patience to research it in conjunction with our mythology. Once upon a time, this large plain surrounded by large mountains must have been a huge lake. Various geological changes and disturbances, subsidence, and other natural phenomena seem to have contributed to the opening of some roads that made the waters rush from their natural basin overflow into the Aegean Sea. Legend tells us that the god Poseidon built a canal to drain the water. Why did he do that? The myth doesn't tell us, but maybe that's where the whole secret lies. However, he did it in Tembe, which takes their name from the verb intersect, And here comes the science to confirm the great geological section of the area. Perhaps the myth again, very simply, describes this geological event, while the waters that flooded the surrounding areas until they ended up in the Aegean Sea were recorded as a flood. If we take into account Deucaliones ruled in Thessaly Theotida. Somehow then, the present-day plain was created, which is essentially the dried bottom of an ancient lake, the remains of which are Lake Vivisi, later Carla, that has dried up, and Nessun. Perhaps then the peaks of Meteora were small rocky islets or reefs that reached the surface of the lake. Nor, however, in mythology do we find any evidence to photograph the Meteora phenomenon. Despite the uniqueness of the phenomenon, few researchers have been particularly concerned with the interpretation of the birth and evolution of the meteorites, the Meteora mountains here. This is what geologist Samani says. Today's relief is mainly the result of successive cycles of erosion and deposition that have been created and evolved over the last 10 million years. Geological terms such as fishing in the wider area of Meteora, which are based on the agreement of the order of Heptahori, which has been marred by marble, flysch, slate, etc. of the basin, will not concern us. What we're interested in, and which we will examine, is that the base, the lower horizon of Meteora area, consists of small, relatively pebbles, strongly welded with solid fishing material, the composition of which is distinguished in marble, slate, shapes, cobbles, limestones, gneiss, etc. They're flanked by the upper horizon of the Cretaceous, which is characterized by mainly generous, large-sized crocodiles that are often the size of boulders, in contrast to the lower horizon, which is very loose and easy to detach. The strange rocks of Meteora are a geological phenomenon that was also affected by atmospheric erosion. It's unique in the world, with the possible exception, perhaps, of a similar but smaller phenomenon in the Gorema Valley of Cappadocia, which is now southwestern Turkey. A well-known worldview. It's important to remember that the existence of the ancient ether or chi or prana or orgon, etc., has been proven and accepted, at least by part of the current scientific community. Modern science has also shown in general that man produces electricity, that in the atoms and cells that that we're made of, there is free movement of electrons from person to person. In other words, we produce a special atomic electricity. It's biological electricity. It's now a fact that life is based on this production of electricity with a similar current production. The ancient Asclepia, some diseases, as they were built in specific places in a specific way. If the above is the particular part on which we will rely to argue that Meteora is a very particularly beneficial place for power for man to derive, then for the same reason we should refer in quotation marks to a theoretical, at least for the subject of science, known immediately to the ancient Greeks. In life in the universe, there are two primary forces that regulate it. These are the who and the sufferer, and the Stoics, who correspond to the Chinese yin and yang, would tell us, or as it would be more appropriate for today's data to call these forces, creative and generative forces. No one is negative or beneficial to humans when they are in balance, but the exaggeration of one or the kachechia of the other can hurt. We could symbolize the generative force with minus because it originates from the earth, which has a corresponding load symbol, and the creator with positive because it descends from heaven, which has a corresponding load symbol. The earth, as we know, functions like a huge magnetic dipole. The same goes for man, animals, birds, trees, etc. Man is contained in a universe, a macrocosm, and at the same time he contains within himself this universe, since it's made of the same stellar materials, while at the same time it contains another similar universe, the microcosm. Our body is constantly and uninterrupted in constant interactions with the universe. It receives and emits vibrations and energies, while at the same time playing the role of a self-regulated transformer in order to harmoniously adapt itself to its environment. Man is in tune with his environment and the actions of the earth. Our brain operates at the same frequency as the earth. Earth acupuncture. Let's remember, first of all, that today's scientists have proven that the planet Earth has crystalline properties, and that is why energy flows are presented. The main lines of these flows warp its surface like a net, forming 12 mental pentagons next to each other. And like the human body, the Earth has similar energy lines, meridians, etc., whose beneficial action can be blocked, and we have a geopathic pathogenic node. Creative energy descends from heaven, and the genesis springs from the earth. The second tries to escape to the sky, while the first tries to tame it, and so there is a balance. Both are necessary for the proper development and evolution of man. Earth acupuncture, like acupuncture in humans, is based on the application of acupuncture, which is, in this case, is some boulders at specific key points, that is, at the contribution of energy channels, or more simply at those points where two or more energies occur. When more than two energy rivers meet in one place, there's usually a disturbance in human health, which is why many diseases or accidents often occur. These nodes are geopathic. When there is a lack of balance between the two primary forces in a geopathic node, the generator, capital G, is usually dangerously redundant. When we place a large and elongated stone, a menhir, perpendicular to the horizontal surface of the earth, high enough which acts as an antenna or lightning rod and attracts the creator power from the sky or positive ions which tame the generator and will restore the desired balance. This stone must have an accurate environmental adaptation orientation, be placed in the exact and special acupuncture point of the earth in order to perform the correct alteration of energies and polarity. Once the correct placement of the stone is found, it coordinates the two forces that now provide the surrounding environment with harmonious and gifted vibrations beneficial to humans. The chemical composition and composition of the stones, its origin, and weight are not so important criteria for its selection. Only the correct placement is important. The weight, however, can vary from 20 to 250 kilograms, but also more. Meteora in Greece is not an artificial placement, but by any human or extraterrestrial intelligence. They were formed by chance, by nature, in this particular location. So it doesn't matter if we examine with a single article whether they are in a strong or weak geopathic junction, in a weak or abnormal Earth's magnetic field, etc. What we're interested in retaining is that they radiate in a large radius the balance of the creative and generative power. This is because the stones are about circular in shape and are carved. We would say that they act as a kind of lightning rod that neutralizes the area from the positive ions that come down from the sky and the negatives that come from the earth. Besides, it's known that no lightning has ever struck Meteora. However, for the outflow of good energy, the chemical composition of the rocks and the soil where they tread is also responsible. Marble and gneiss crackers are the key words in this case. Not knowing, however, the quality of the marble, as for example, different from the Pendeli or the Paris marble, but due to its crystalline structure, it can transmit electricity if it's polarized. We will focus on the unknown genus. Gneiss is a crystalline rock that has the same mineralogical composition as granite. This rock is capable of some reactions with the environment under certain conditions, as many granite rocks and basalt rocks behave like electric batteries or cells. As batteries release energy when one puts them into operation, in this case, the rock emits energy that is of the highest vibration value and also clean energy due to the natural geoacupuncture. So it ends up being healing energy and very beneficial for the human body that pulls it like a sponge, precisely because the body produces electricity and needs several times within a certain period of time to recharge. This energy pulsates, hence decreases or increases depending on the solar star circles, or as it is coordinated with the movement of very close celestial bodies such as the moon. It is also spread through the ether. One way or another, all this may have been known to the ancient Greek philosophers. A special value of the place, perhaps, was the reason why they do not mention it in their books and skip it, thus keeping it hidden from the uninitiated. There may be some capable explanation somewhere, but it has not yet been deciphered. The epilogue, strange as it may sound, the residence of the Meteora by monks was determined to their ignorance of the place, not in terms of their inhabitants, but also in terms of the surrounding environment and the range of action offered by these huge stones. The monks who climbed to the top, worked hard to build, and later lived there, enjoying all the beneficial energy of the place, because being at the top of these columns, and they themselves are magnetic dipoles, they inadvertently drew away the negative energy of the area, so they did not let it spread, or they just scattered it completely, and again, without their knowledge in a certain way. Contributing to this are their rituals that immediately change the ionization of the atmosphere, the chants that direct or diffuse irregularly contrary to its natural flow of the energy, the ringing of the bells that cleanse the atmosphere, but immediately change its vibrational space. So the natural source of energy from the 10th century onwards, 10th centuries when these monasteries were built, slowly began to decline. In the last decades, when most monasteries have been deserted and abandoned, the balanced creative and generative forces embrace us, giving us pure and dynamic energy. The energy field of Meteora is operating again. Meteora must be geodynamically connected to Mount Athos, which has 20 monasteries built from that area, male monasteries. If, however, we proceed with leaps and bounds, combining the monasticism of Mount Athos, the ancient sanctuary of Artemis, and the secrets of the two places, we will come to many conclusions that, however, do not belong to this article. I've translated this for you from a Greek article, Diadrastika. Please leave your comments. I think this is fascinating. This could have been a lake that later on drained. That's why this was not mentioned in the ancient Greek writings, or perhaps they did know of it but kept it secret because of its a geomagnetic potential. Please leave your comments. Thank you. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.